Hi guys, this is Wee Bob here, and this is my setup, and I thought I'd do a video on how I draw, what my setup looks like. Give you a wee bit of a review of the Canvas Pro 22, and so I'm just kind of coming back here so I can see my phone screen while I record this. I've got my three screens set up. That took a bit getting set up using active adapters and various other things to get three monitors working on my graphics card, which is now, I bought that computer 2013 I think, so my computer is pretty old, but I bought quite a high-end computer at the time, so it's thankful it's lasted. I've never had to really upgrade anything, so we're okay on that end. So I've got my three monitors. This is my first time kind of doing a talking video on this channel, unless you're on my Wee Bob gaming channel. I appear on there quite often on the screen, if you're wanting to check out gaming type stuff. So yeah, this is just a kind of review of the Hue and Canvas 22, my setup, how I draw, any issues I've had over the past kind of 4 years of learning to draw. So I started digitally drawing in 2016. I got a tablet for my Christmas 2015, and then started doing a programming for gaming. So I was doing some programming for an Android app that I was working on at the time, and doing some drawings which were really poor when I look back at them now. But it's 4 years of learning, 4 years of self-teaching, looking at other people's stuff, trying to figure out how to draw certain things, and I'm still learning every day, so it's an ongoing process. But really I just wanted to talk about this Canvas Pro, talk about my setup, talk about how I normally draw, talk about issues I've had with this particular canvas. I got this would have been 2 years after my original tablet. My original tablet is a Wacom Intuos Medium Pro thing. It's a flat tablet. I don't have it at hand just now, but yeah, so I'm going to show you some issues that I've had with this particular tablet, just to try and explain some problems that you might find if this is something you're interested in buying. I've got the desk I quite like because it's got the keyboard below, so I can kind of put my hand below, put keyboard shortcuts on there, as well as I tend to use this side. I don't tend to use this side of my drawing tablet. So what this cost me approximately £600. I can't remember exactly. It was quite expensive. My first tablet cost me £300, but I also have a tablet that cost £40, another Huion type tablet that sits on your desk and you look up at the screen, which is quite a bit of a, takes a bit of getting used to doing that when you've been used to all your life probably just drawing on paper. So I'm just going to see if I've got a black pen working here. Yep, I do. My drawing processes are in all my other videos. I just wanted to really, I'm struggling a wee bit at the moment because I like to upload a video every week. That doesn't look like it's going to be able to be possible because the work then suffers. So I thought if I can infill it with some tutorial videos, maybe some stuff about my setup, some issues I've had. So this one, hence the reason for this video, basically. I'm going to try and not edit this, so I apologise if it's kind of humming and M's and O's and stuttering, but editing's a pain in the bum and takes ages. So Huion comes with this kind of donut inside the donut. Hopefully this is on the camera. Yep, appears to be. You've got other nibs that you can use. Most of my stuff is most of my monitors and stuff second hand. There's a big line down the centre of this one, and it was a tenner. So one issue I've had is this pen here. This pen broke about a year after me getting the tablet. Might not even have been as much as a year. And Huion did replace it, but it was after about I was to and fro, and they sent me some test software, and what really was happening was whenever I leaned, it would do a line, but I would still be leaning and there would be a big gap, and then it would draw again, or it would be like kind of like that, and it just wasn't working. And a wee bit back and forward, it ended up costing me £10 to get this replaced. I really should actually get a second one so I don't end up in the same position of not having a pen to draw with. Another big issue with this, just focusing on the negative stuff at the moment, I'm just trying to turn around and find a ruler I've seen this before with other YouTubers. Where are all my rulers? I've moved all my rulers, that was good timing. Ow. So one of the big issues with this is trying to draw a straight line. Let's say I'm trying to draw a building and I want to draw a straight line. Okay, I mean, maybe from far distance I don't even know on the screen whether that looks straight. Let me try and just lean this in and kind of go down. And now I don't know whether you can see that. Let's try and zoom up. That is a straight line drawn with a ruler. You can see it's quite wavy. So it means when you're trying to draw nice straight, crisp lines with one of these tablets, it's just not always possible. So I'm going to try and tilt that back up. I'm going to zoom out in a wee minute. Bring you back up to where you were. And so yeah, you can see that if I was trying to draw a building, and down the way it looks pretty decent, but anything kind of across the way seems to have this wavy line or waviness to it. And I can obviously do the whole Photoshop thing where you can do straight lines just holding down the shift button, but when you're naturally used to maybe just using this to draw a vanishing point or something, it's a bit of a pain the fact that this doesn't like it. I don't know whether going faster makes a difference, but then I'm moving the ruler and really I just want to kind of go, that's the line I want, and I don't want all this waviness. So that's a big problem, especially with crisp lines, cityscapes. It causes me some problems, and my eraser's in the wrong colour, doesn't matter. So that's one issue, is obviously this wavy line aspect to it. Another thing I've never actually got working on this is the tilt function. So normally you can tilt a paintbrush, certain paintbrushes backwards and forwards. It gives you a slightly different shape and it gives you a kind of more natural paint look. I've never actually got the tilt function working on this, even though on my Wacom the tilt function worked without any issues at all. The buttons down the side I use kind of this one. Another issue, if you want to call it a negative, is that I've got to keep tapping to get the actual screen, the brush size to change up or down. I've got to keep tapping, whereas if I was to go to the keyboard shortcut I can hold it down and it means I'm not tapping. So if I do, I can use the keyboard shortcut. So I don't know whether there's a way of fixing that. I've not tried. There's nothing I can see to fix it, to say press multiple times if held down or anything like that. Down here I do have my settings menu, so you can, there's 10 keys. As far as I know, this side and this side are the same. So if I make this side, like say this key here, undo, that key will be undo. If I make this key large or brush, that will be larger brush, and so on and so forth. The slider is for zooming in and zooming out. I rarely ever use that. I tend to actually dive down here and zoom in using my mouse wheel. Again, these are things that individual people will have individual ways of dealing with. They'll set this up themselves. You can set up pen pressure, you can set up the 2 buttons on the mouse, the 2 buttons on the pen. You can set up each of these keys, and unlike the Wacom actually has the capability to assign, like if you're using Clip Studio and you're using Photoshop, you can assign those two different shortcuts, unless you're willing to again spend time sorting all that out, which is a pain if you ever reinstall your software, unless you've got set up files and it's something you're used to doing. But for a hobbyist like me, it's not something I've got set up particularly well. So each of these keys can only really be assigned one value, so you're only really able to do that on the one bit of software, unless you've managed to mimic the shortcuts across both. So that kind of gives you the main downfalls. Overall, I'm on a positive note. I mean, I'm pretty pretty pleased with this tablet overall. It works well. I've got Photoshop here, so it works well with Photoshop. There's no real lag that I can see. It's quite natural for me to paint and feel like I'm painting in real time, as I say, apart from the downfalls I've already mentioned. So yeah, overall it's a good tablet. It's now been functional for nearly 3 years. It's going quite well at the moment, I have to say. Nothing too serious. You might hear a voice in the background, that's my son talking. So yep, here on Canvas, it's an HDMI. Just try to think of the connections here. It does have its own power plug. You do need a computer to run this, so this is just a monitor. You do get some screen-based tablets that are full-on computer-based systems that don't require a separate tower or a separate computer. So yep, this is a full-on just monitor, and for the price, it's not the clearest of images I've ever seen on a monitor, but the price difference of 600 compared to paying several thousand for a Wacom of a similar size, this one won out for me because it's a hobby for me. It's not something I'd like to make money on it eventually if I possibly could, but that's a long time down the road when I maybe get to retirement age or something like that. But overall, it's a good tablet. It does everything that I needed to do. As says, I could do it in a second pen just in case, so I don't have any downtime. And I like having my 3 monitors, I have to say, when I'm talking about setups, because what I tend to do is have my reference image over here, or YouTube over here just playing in the background, have my reference image up here, have OBS for capturing the screen on a different monitor. I'd probably have 4 monitors if I could, but I had issues with active adapters. You've got to have an active adapter on my particular graphics card to get 3 monitors to work. But yeah, the real biggest problem for me, and I don't think Wacom have the same issue, is really that wavy ruler line. So if anybody's watching this and they know that there's a way of getting rid of this waviness, that would be great. I don't like using the whole shift method because it's inaccurate. I mean, if I'm trying to kind of gauge a line, it's not that simple when you're sitting here and you've got a shift button here and you're trying to kind of figure out, okay, I want the line to follow this building here, whereas when you've got a ruler sitting next to that building, it gives you the kind of the visual ability to see, like, I want those 2 lines parallel. When you're just trying to click, you could say, well, that looks a bit right, and get it completely wrong. And yeah, so I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's not bored you to tears too much. I hope it gives you a good idea of this Huion Canvas Pro 22. I'll probably just keep using this until it stops functioning. I don't really have a need for anything more fancy. This does everything I need it to do. One issue that I have found when I was trying to do a commission for something, when I was doing the Peaky Blinders, was the colouring on this image. You can obviously go in and look at all the colour settings, but the colouring on this compared to a different monitor, trying to match them up to what you'd actually get as a printed image was a bit of a challenge as well. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hope you are well, and hopefully I'll be doing more of these kind of tutorial type things that are helpful. If anybody's got anything that they want me to specifically cover, I am going to do that. I was having issues with how to actually paint, how to get a decent looking paint, so it looks like you're painting. Like that just looks like a repeated pattern. It's not the nicest in terms of looking like a painting, and I've been doing a lot of work on trying to get brushes to look like paint brush strokes, which can be quite a challenge. So I'd probably quite like to do some tutorials on that, if not learn some more myself, so that I can get better, because every day is a school day, as they say. So cheers guys, thanks for the moment, and for the moment, Wee Bob is out.